All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 5 Minutes of Math. This is Mr. Lunsford, and thank you once again for joining us. All right, here we go. Our homework here is for the evening of Wednesday, January 10th, 2018. It says if y equals negative 12 when x equals 9, find y when x equals negative 4. So starting with the first half of that phrase is asking you to use the skills you learned from direct variation. We're going to take this y value and divide it by the x to figure out our constant. So here we have negative 12 divided by 9 equals negative 1.33. You can also call it negative 1 1/3. So our formula is y equals negative 1.33x or y equals negative 1 1/3 x. Now, the next step, find y when x equals negative 4. So we know 9 and 12, but now we have to find the y value when x equals negative 4. So what do? All we have to do is go negative 4, take our negative 4, multiply it by negative 1 1/3, and we end up with our answer, 5.33 or 5 1/3. All right. Now, we're moving on to number 17. So here's number 17. If y equals 8 when x equals 20, find y when x equals 10. So now we know that x is 20, y is 8, so we're still going to divide. The temptation here is to put that 20 on top and go 20 divided by 8, but that's not the case. Make sure you divide that y by the x no matter what they are. So this is 8 divided by 20. You end up with a decimal. Don't be scared of those. They're just numbers. So our constant is 0.4, and the formula is y equals 0.4x, or y equals 2/5 x if you prefer a fraction. So we know that when x is 20, y is 8. Now we have to find y when x equals 10. How do we solve for that? We multiply 10 by 0.4. And our answer is 4. 10 times 0.4 is 4. So when x is 10, y is 4. All right, moving on to the next question. If y equals negative 6 when x equals negative 14, find x when y equals negative 4. So if we're looking at this, here's x, negative 14, here's y, negative 6, and again, we divide the y by the x. Don't put 14 on top of that fraction, or don't go 14 divided by 6. And that's going to be 0.4285 or 3/7, just depending on whether you prefer a fraction or a decimal. So our formula is either y equals 0.4285x or y equals 3/7 x. Now we have to figure out the x value when y is negative 4. Now be careful here because we have to set up our formulas slightly differently. This time we're looking for the x value and we already know what the y is. So this is going to be 0.4285 times x equals negative 4. So what do we have to do? Division property of equality. So we divide both sides by 0.4285 and we end up with negative 9.33 equal to our x, or negative 9 1/3 is our x value. All right. So here's number 19. If y equals 7 when x equals 8, find x when y equals 25. So here we go again, same strategy. So we divide our y by our x. So it's 7 divided by 8. And 7 divided by 8 is 0.875, or you can just keep it as 7/8. And our formula is y equals 0.875x or y equals 7/8 x. Now we have to find x when y is 25. So remember, when we set this up, we are looking for the x value, not the y value. So when we start to solve this, it's going to be 0.875x equals 25. All right, so we're going to take both sides and divide by 0.875. And we end up with 28.571, or 28 4/7. All right, thank you again for listening, and I will talk to you again in 24 hours.